Today we're talking about behavioral health and social and emotional learning with Jen Mahan and Alice Brown LeGrand. I'm Anne Marie Fiore, Director of Technology for the Wilmington Public Schools, and you are in the loop. Welcome to a new season of In the Loop. Let me start by introducing our guests. Alice Brown LeGrand, Coordinator of Behavioral Health and Social Emotional Learning, and Jen Mahan, Director of Student Support Services. Alice, you're new to the district this year. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I started in August here in the district. Prior to that, I worked in another large public school district as a school psychologist for about 13 years. And then I ran an in-district therapeutic day school for students that had social emotional challenges.
Oh, that's great. Mm-hmm. And Jen, tell us about your various roles here in Wilmington.
So I've been in Wilmington. This is the start of my 12th year in Wilmington. I started as a team chairperson at the special education department. And then after having a couple of children, I returned to the district and was the director at the Boutwell Early Childhood Center. And I've just recently started in my role on July 1st as Director of Student Support Services for the district.
So Jen, can you tell us a little bit about Student Support Services, what your office does for Wilmington?
Sure, absolutely. So our office is comprised of a couple of different areas, and all of the areas are to support students. Special education is probably the largest component of what we do on a daily basis, but we work with Alice, and that falls under the umbrella of behavioral health, guidance, preschool programs, English language learners, and children who might be on 504 accommodation plans. And that's all falls under Student Support Services. And but I have a great team of people who I work with daily to just check in on different things. They're out in the schools managing things, and I just check in when I have to. But it's an exciting position.
Yeah, you guys do a great job.
Thank you.
Alice, can you tell us a little bit about your position, the Coordinator of Behavioral Health and Social and Emotional Learning? It's the longest job title in the district.
I think I need an acronym. Sure. So my position has kind of a couple of different initiatives attached to it. One of the biggest ones that the district has begun is PBIS, which is Positive Behavior Intervention and Supports. And we've are piloting that in a number of schools across the district in different formats. So some are on kind of a quicker cycle than another. The other piece kind of my position is really looking at the programming that we have in the district for student social emotional needs, supporting some of the programs we have, as well as looking at the state standards that are coming in for social emotional learning and kind of helping the district and the individual schools kind of get in step with what we would need to be doing for next year as those standards come in.
So can you describe some of the opportunities the students might have?
Sure. I think from a district point of view, there's a lot of good work that's going on in Wilmington. We have a lot of clinical staff that are highly trained and really motivated to kind of affect change for students. And I think as the state evolves those standards, we have to look at things like bullying prevention kind of in a K-12 model. We have to look at school climate that incorporates social emotional learning, that it's not necessarily a separate program, but part of the school environment. Classroom environment, kind of the focus of the district to support of all of our students kind of going forward.
We're going to go to a quick break to see a highlight video put together by the students here at WCTV. After that, we'll be back with Christine Murray, adjustment counselor at the Wildwood and Boutwell schools. Please let me introduce our new guest, Christine Murray, adjustment counselor at the Wildwood and the Bothwell schools. Welcome to the show, Christine.
Thanks, Marie.
Can you tell us about Responsive Classroom? I know this is kind of a new initiative in the district.
So Responsive Classroom was implemented years back at the elementary level. I was a guidance counselor at the Shawshene School for 15 years, and now we're happy to bring it back to the pre-K and kindergarten level here at the Wildwood and Bothwell schools. The teachers went through a week-long training in June, and we just recently implemented that with the educational assistants as well. So they went through the training and some of the support staff. So it's really an approach to learning to create a safe, challenging, joyful classroom setting, as well as builds school climate. So the focus really is that social emotional learning is just as important as the academic learning. And it really incorporates teaching, especially at this level, kids to be able to share with each other, take turns, respectfully disagree with each other. So the teachers are really incorporating that throughout their day. What it might look like is the morning meeting time is where teachers come together with their class, and really it starts the foundation of how the day is going to run. They share with each other. They do interactive modeling, teaching different social emotional skills in the morning meeting time. So it really builds that connection in the community to help start a positive day.
So you give the kids the skills to do this?
Yes, we focus primarily on the social skills of cooperation, assertiveness, empathy. Those are all kind of skills we're looking at. We know once they have those skills, it really helps build that foundation for the cognitive growth. So once we can establish that and really foster that throughout the day, we see great results academically. It's been proven to show, higher test scores.
Right. That
Really,
cognitive growth is so important. Alice, how does this interface with what you do?
Yeah, so I think, having a responsive classroom approach at the early childhood kind of really sets the stage for that climate change that we talk about that's necessary district-wide. I think when you have students that kind of begin their educational careers with the academics kind of embedded with the social emotional learning, I think it kind of leaves them more available for learning. I think when you look at responsive classroom and you look at the PBIS kind of initiative, they are very similar in a lot of ways, in that it looks at not making them a program, but making them part of the school culture, making it something that kids will be the way the teachers interact with the students. It's the way the school approaches everything from teaching students pro-social skills, but also their approach to discipline. And a responsive classroom at the early childhood kind of gives the beginning stages of some of those skills that the students will need going forward to make, better learners, but also better citizens at the end, which is really what we're looking for.
So responsive classroom and having the children trained at such a young age then would cut, the goal is to be cut down on bullying, say?
Yeah.
Is that
so
one of the
to
goals?
understand, kind of have a sense of empathy towards others, to have the ability to cooperate and negotiate in a social or emotional situation, giving them kind of coping resources in a way to see adults around them as being supports and as a resource for them, and structuring kind of any conflicts that they may have so that they learn to, over time, kind of solve them themselves.
Right.
With support when they're younger, of course. It also kind of builds into that larger sense of community, both responsive classroom and PBIS, that the school environment is kind of set up as such that the teachers also have that approach. They have the approach of supporting students' social emotional learning as though they're not independent from the academic piece.
Right, all in one.
Right, and it gives the teachers the skills on how to do that, which I think all teachers want to do that. I think they're not necessarily trained to do that, I think, when they go through their programs. And so I think this gives people tools on how to help students kind of better manage their emotions, how to interact socially, and eventually, at the end of the day, understand somebody's perspective, to be able to understand how the things that you do affect someone else, which feeds into obviously that bullying piece, and and just being a better rounded person in terms of interacting with people around you.
Jen, do we do this in special ed classrooms?
So the really important piece about responsive classroom and PBIS is that it's for all students,
Correct.
every single child. And what it will do is it's laying the foundation and it's creating those expectations again for all students. So for children who may or may not have a disability, they're still, the expectations are the same. And if we have to modify things to help a student, we do that, but it levels the playing field. This is what we expect for every student in the Wilmington Public Schools. To help make them better citizens and build their resiliency and tolerance to, just facing adverse situations as we get older.
Absolutely.
Christine, what are some successes you've seen with responsive classroom since the training started?
It's really amazing being in the classroom and just seeing the kids interact and really work things out on their own and tell them, each other how they feel. Also, there is opportunity for them to take a break on their own. A lot of the teachers have take-a-break chairs, and they will remove themselves. It's not a punishment, but it just gives them some time to calm down, relax, and then gracefully come back to the group. And they really seem to enjoy that and, take ownership
We could
for
all
it.
use that.
Yeah, it gives them a little break, but then they feel a part of the community again. So there's been some really fun energizers that the teachers do. They get the kids up moving and playing some really interactive games. So it brings the fun
Yeah.
into learning for them, and they're really learning through a fun way
Yeah.
of the social skills.
That's great.
Yeah, it's been great.
Jen and Alice, you wanted to share some upcoming dates?
Sure. So as part of out of my office with the special education piece, I work very closely with the Special Education Parent Advisory Council, which is our CPAC. And they have an event coming up. It's a workshop that Alice is actually going to be presenting on anxiety in young children, ages grades pre-K to 5. So that's going to be December 5th at the Wilmington High School. There'll be some flyers going out and they'll be posted around town. There'll be some opportunities to view it on the website and on the CPAC Facebook page. But again, so it's really just I wanted to give the CPAC a plug. Parents are always welcome to join us,
Absolutely.
but December 5th we are going to be hosting a meeting about anxiety in young children.
Can you talk a little bit about that, Alice?
Sure. I think, anxiety is one of those things that we all have.
Yep.
And it's the degree to which it kind of affects us can be problematic. Anxiety can also be useful. And I think what we're seeing really across the board kind of in Massachusetts and probably nationwide too is that the level of anxiety is up. In the population as a whole, it's certainly up for children as well. And I think, as parents and as educators, sometimes it's very hard to figure out exactly what to do to help a kid that you have that might be struggling with anxiety, whether it's a student or your own child, And so really the focus of the session is going to be to talk a little bit about what anxiety is, talk about what it looks like in different settings, because an anxious child can look very different in the classroom than it can at home. And that can be frustrating for everybody involved, because try to understand that a little bit. And then really it's going to be a big piece about talking about strategies and things that we can do, and really a little bit of question and answer too.
We're seeing this with younger and younger?
Absolutely, younger and younger kids, coming in right out of preschool. And some of it is, the demands and the education of where we're at in history at this point and matching that to kids' needs, and some of it is just there's an increase, and we're not really sure why. But for lifelong skills, we need to give kids skills to manage that.
Right. Thank you all for being on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
If anyone has wants to know further about the responsive classroom, there is a website, and it's www.responsiveclassroom.org. There's blogs on there, and there's also some videos that you might want to take a look at. And also there's a Facebook fan page if you'd like to join it as well. It gives some nice experiences of the responsive classroom.
We'll be sure to check that out. Well, that's it for us today on In the Loop. Join us next time when we'll be talking to Lisa Ippolito, the Director of STEM, and our new Assistant Superintendent, Sean Gallagher. If you would like more information about the Wilmington Public Schools, please visit our website at www.wpsk12.com. Thanks for watching.